Hey everyone, Evan Hoflick here from evanhoflickmarketing.com, and in this video we're going to address a really common question, but a really excellent question, which is, how long should a blog post be, or what is the ideal length of a blog post? In this video I'm going to give you a couple guidelines to help provide you more clarity. It'll give you a little bit more direction when you go down to sit and write your own blog post yourself. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So the question, how long should a blog post be? It's not an easy one to answer, and my question back to that question is really, what is your goal? What is your vision with this piece of content? So really the answer to that is it depends. The length depends on exactly what your goal and your vision is for this piece of content. You know, do you want a lot of comments on this particular blog post? Are you looking for this post to get a lot of social shares? Are you trying to get this post ranked in the search engines and drive more targeted organic traffic from Google to this particular blog post? Maybe is this just a blog post that doesn't have much motive and it's just a piece of content, a helpful piece of content to share with your readers at a given time? So when I hear the question, how long should a blog post be? First, try to understand what your goal is with this piece of content and what your vision is for it moving forward. From there, we can start giving you some benchmarks and some guidelines of maybe the word count that you can go after with your content. So with that being said, I'm going to give you a few benchmarks and guidelines that you can use in terms of word count that might help you moving forward if you're struggling to figure out how many words should this particular blog post be that I'm writing. I also encourage you as a blogger, and every blog is completely different, that you got to test things out too. You got to test out different lengths, different types of content, long form versus short form content. It's really worth experimenting on your own website, and you really have to take in the data and analyze the data to see what performs best for you and your blog. So these are just some benchmarks, but by no means is this mandatory. And in fact, I encourage you to experiment with all different lengths of content as well. But let's get into a few benchmarks that you can use and have handy if this is helpful for you. All right, so if you're looking for more comments on a particular post, I would go for a shorter form style of blog article, anywhere from 100 to 400 words. Sometimes this shorter style content encourages people to contribute more to the discussion. It can give more interaction to the actual post and yield in more comments, blog comments to that particular article. This will not be good from an SEO perspective. This length of post, 100 to 400 words, we'll go into that in a bit more detail in a little bit. But a shorter style post like this, 100 to 400 words, can be great for generating additional comments on a particular blog post. Now, I do want to say that longer form style content can of course get a bunch of comments too. So all of these tips, just take these little notes in mind too, that just because I'm recommending a shorter style piece of content for more comments for your blog post, doesn't mean a long form style content can't get a lot of comments as well. But with that being said, I see a lot of blog posts that have some shorter content get a lot of engagement and a lot of comments, so it may be worth trying out for yourself. Now, if you're after more social shares for a particular blog post, then I recommend making this a little bit longer compared to the comment, if your goal is to get more comments. I recommend for more social shares to do at least 500 to 1,000 words. This is a really solid length for more social shares, as it's a sufficient amount of content to cover a subject in its whole, in its entirety. These length type posts can look very valuable to readers and encourage them to share these on their social platforms. There's a lot more that goes into getting more social shares to your blog posts, and some of those include, quality of content, high quality images, visuals, the subject, the topic, etc. But if you're looking for more social shares, In general, I think a good length to go for is 500 to 1,000 words, and this is also still pretty good for SEO. You will still get some SEO benefit from crafting an article that is that long, at least 500 words and up to 1,000 words long. So you get that benefit as well. So I think this is a good gauge for more social shares, 500 to 1,000 words long. So if you want to generate more organic traffic from the search engines and you want to get your blog articles actually ranked on page 1 of Google, then you're going to want to up the word count a little bit here. The recommendation for word count for this particular goal and motive to get your blog content ranked in Google and for SEO purposes would be to make your posts 1,500 words or longer. So that's 1,500 words or longer. This type of long form comprehensive type content where you really cover a subject in full in its entirety, it's really detailed and fleshed out. Google loves ranking this type of content because it's super helpful to its users. They're going to much rather rank a high quality long form style post in Google compared to one that's really short and vague and doesn't really get too descriptive on what the topic is about. So if SEO is your goal here and your motive and you want to get ranked on page 1 of Google, definitely focus more on long form style content that's 1,500 words or longer. Now, if you simply just want to share a helpful post with your readers and there's really no particular motive behind it, you're just sharing a helpful piece of content to your readers, then word count doesn't really matter all that much. So I would say in this case, make it at least 500 words or longer. I think 500 words is a good benchmark in terms of like a minimum, unless you're trying to get more comments as discussed in the first step. But try to make it at least 500 words because that way you'll still get some SEO benefit there. And who knows, maybe this particular post will get picked up by the search engines at one point. But you don't have to focus too much on word count if you're just sharing a helpful article with your readers. Maybe just keep in mind, try to make it at least 500 words so that it's at least a sufficient amount of content that you're publishing to your website. Now, with all that being said, there's value in all types of content that you produce, and I really encourage you to mix it up a bit. I have posts personally on my blog that are really long form style, you know, over 2,000, 3,000 words, and then I have other posts that are super short, maybe 500 words. I think sometimes a variety is really nice for your readers. It doesn't have to be all long form style or all short form style. I definitely recommend mixing it up a bit for the best results. And again, track your results, track your data, dig into Google Analytics and see what types of posts are generating the most traffic. Take a look at your metrics just on your blog, see which blog posts are generating the most comments and most social shares, and see like the word count for those types of posts. So this really is about experimenting, and when it comes to coming up with an answer of how long your blog post should be, I hope some of these benchmarks will help provide more clarity for you down the road. And again, mix it up and see which type of content performs best for you. So when answering how long should a blog post be, it really depends. It depends on the vision and it depends on the goal of that particular blogger and that piece of content. But I hope that laying out some benchmarks like this was maybe helpful for you and eye-opening and can give you maybe a little bit more direction when you write a particular blog post if you have your goal for the post in mind. And I also wouldn't get too hung up on word count in general. You know, write your articles until you've really covered what you wanted to talk about in full. Not every single blog article that you publish has to go by a specific word count. So some of this is about feel as well. And I think the more you do this and the more you write and the more you produce content on your blog, I think you'll get into a really good groove and rhythm on you know, how long your post should be and what type of post this is, and you know, how should I craft this as a shorter form style post or a longer form style post. I think the more you publish content, the more you do this, the more comfortable you are with approaching your blog content. So with that being said, I hope this was helpful. I know that wasn't a clear-cut answer, but I think having these benchmarks is helpful. I think it's helpful to identify what your particular goal is for a particular blog post before you go ahead and come up with a word count for it. So if this was helpful, please let me know in the comments section, and also let me know what type of word count you normally go by. What is the normal length of one of your blog posts? Are you going to try to mix it up a little bit more after watching this video? I'd love to hear from you. So with that being said, I have a lot more blogging type content videos on the way. And if this was helpful, definitely stick around, subscribe if you haven't done so already, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much.